Welcome to Walker Tea Review. I'm Jason Walker here with a tea. It's a green tea, so this is, and it's February here and now. So this green tea is from last year's harvest, spring harvest. Teas can generally last for a while if they're taken care of, and some teas actually kind of mellow out depending on what they are. I've scooped out enough of this Chinese green tea to cover the bottom, say inch and a half diameter of my 3-ounce gaiwan. I'm going to slowly, gradually, carefully add enough water. I'm going to make sure the leaves swirl and get underneath the surface of the water. The water's been brought to a boil and the temperature's been cooling or dropped so that it's not at a full boiling temperature. And I've got enough water here. Actually, I'm going to add just a splash more water so that a little bit of water will rest above the rim of my lid to create a kind of seal. Keep the air out, keep the air from going in and changing the color of the liquor while I talk about this tea. This is from Teavivre. This is a Lushan Yunwu, a cloud and mist tea, Yunwu, from the Lu Mountain, Lushan. You can get a 14-gram sample, which is really 2 7-gram packages for $3. So if you want to try it out a little bit. Harvest period for this particular tea, like I said last year, but it's a nice fresh spring harvest, April 1st, 2013. So that means if this is a tea that you are interested in, 2013 teas are probably going out, making room for this upcoming spring harvest of teas. You can also find some background information, more information about this particular tea on the product page. For example, this particular, the cultivar, the tea plant that is being used here was actually developed for Longjing tea in Zhejiang, Hangzhou area. Longjing number 43 was actually a cultivated, more recently developed varietal. But it's growing there in Jiangsu province, in Jiangxi province, where Lushan is. So this is kind of the traditional home of Lushan Yunwu, but not the most original in tea varietals, tea cultivars being used, grown there. I'm going to go ahead though and take a scoop of this tea and talk about the dry leaf, the wet leaf, and the liquor. Starting here with the dry. Nice sweet green type of smells, almost even kind of faintly chocolatey in its aroma. Again, there's just something heavily sweet, almost again creamy, chocolatey about this. Looking at these leaves, they are small, they are slightly curly, some of them even kind of curling into rings actually. Short, and many of these pieces are less than an inch in length, say half an inch, a quarter of an inch even. So some smaller pieces there, which indicates this is young, this is tender, this is delicate, which is consistent with the description on the product page talking about young, tender buds. That seems to be the case there. The color, I should have mentioned the color while I had it out. A nice, deep, darker green, green-blue, almost even a little bit of green-gray type of color. So it's a richer, heavier green color. It's actually a seal. Like I said, I was able to kind of create a vacuum with the way I used my water there, so that there filled the vacuum, the pressure as I was shifting the lid, because I'm going to get ready to pour now. Get some of this water off the tip of my finger and pour just like so. Quickly does better, oftentimes, especially if the gaiwan is a little too warm. You want to be able to get a nice, quick, smooth pour, just like that one. A little trace of leaf still floating around in there, but that's fine. I'm going to go now and talk about this wet leaf. Give it a shake here. That kind of sweet, almost like I said, chocolatey type smell came out in the dry leaf. Has fallen off, at least initially, with the amount of heat that's built up in here, so you get more of a beany type of smell. It's again more of a toasted, or the heat that's been applied is coming out now, so that it's got more of a cooked green bean kind of smell. Sweet as that initial heat element, toasty element falls. Underneath, you get more of a sweeter, in the vicinity of creamed spinach, so it's kind of a sweet green smell. So that's pleasant as it cools. A little, maybe even a little bit of sweet pea blossom kind of smell. Pulling out a few of the leaves there, you get some kind of. It's hard to tell what that is. It's not a leaf. If it is a leaf, it's so tightly wrapped that it won't unfurl. It looks more like a vein or a stem. Here's a leaf portion that can be teased open with a gentle touch. Leaf, nearly a fully intact leaf. A little bit of the bottom, the stem end of the leaf not present. A little bit torn apart, torn on one side. But a nice, rich, deep, dark green color there. So that's positive. Nice color. Here's another one. Still not fully unfurled, which is a nice thing to see with a delicate green like this. It means there's more, as this, on subsequent steeps, this is going to loosen up and unlock flavors that weren't released on the first steep. Kind of get more value that way. Here's another, a very young, delicate leaf. Hasn't fully opened up. I'm not even going to try it. It looks too tender to even attempt that. A little bit of a lighter green yellow type of color there, though. Let's see. I'll get one more leaf out just so there's a little bit more to look at. You can see some little young tender buds in there, which there is some stuck here as well. So you've got some tender young leaf portions. You've got some leaves that have not fully unfurled, which are intact. You've got some kind of needle portions there as well. So it's little sections of pieces or sections or intact, young, more delicate leaves. I'm going to hold this up to the light now and look at the liquor here. It's a deeper, brighter gold, or I should say a bright yellow color. Green yellow is more. It's more along that end of the spectrum. I'm going to give it a pour. And looking down in the cup is still bright, clear, not cloudy, not murky, anything. There is a delicate astringency here. It's kind of a brothy, almost like there's a bit of a chicken broth combined with astringency there. Like if it's say a salty chicken broth, it can feel kind of dry yet thick and brothy at the same time. This one's got some of that in that there's an astringency that kind of dries out. Yet it feels thick. It feels brothy thick, at least. As that passes back, though, that kind of hits on the front of the tongue. Moving back, it gets more into, again, a sweet green vegetable. Maybe a little bit of that sweet sugar snap pea present in that. A bit of the cream spinach coming out, too. As this tea cools, the astringency part falls off a bit more. The sweetness in the back builds up a bit more, so that you get a bit of still a thickness, a thick feel in the aftertaste. And again, a rich, savory kind of vegetable experience here. Again, it's a little bit of a spinachy type of experience, a little bit of a close to sugar snap pea in there. Bit also, I should mention, yeah, I didn't think of it before, but there's a bit of a grilled green squash. There's a bit of that kind of, again, some of the heat elements still coming into play. Toasty, roasty green squash that's been, say, pan-seared. So it's got a nice golden or crispy brown surface. It's got still some of that green squash savory aspect of it as well. Looking at this tea, flavor profiles quite pleasant. Got some things going on there. This actually, you know, with the heat applied to such a delicate green, the duration at which it was applied suggests that this one is going to be somewhat forgiving. Like I said, it had some astringency, a little bit picked up when it was a warmer tea. But as it cooled a little bit, that started to kind of balance out. So with that, I'm still getting that grilled squash element coming out. And the aftertaste combined with some of that cream spinach. So it's creamy. It still feels kind of a brothy texture coating on my tongue and the insides of my cheeks. Nice richness going on there. So looking at this tea overall, good qualities. I'd probably give this one a 90. Got to stick with what goes first. It would be a useful experience, something curious to explore. Not all your Lushan Yunwu providers will tell you what varietal was used. So it'd be interesting to taste this from a Longjing number 43 and compare that with, say, some of the original, the more traditional varietals used and grown there on Lushan to see what the differences in characteristics that get produced. So come back to Walker Tea Review to find out more about teas, the varietals, the places where teas come from.